we are all, everybody in the entire universe is all connected as one living being. And we can show this in the last book we're going to come up with. We're going to actually be able to show or prove it that is true. And so all these other ways that you were just talking about are they're real. And if you could just find any one of these ways and focus on it, you can see the reality of it. And this is the only way we're ever going to get back to a balanced earth or whatever that's going on here, is when we connect from within our hearts, and then we'll know exactly what to do. We won't have to mess around or anything else. We'll know precisely how to do it, what to do, and we will, you know.
Wow,
So,
thank you. Any questions that you have, like Michael, Jen?
We,
Do you have, or actually, go ahead, Agathi.
I was gonna say that because it's a rare occasion that Drunvalo comes on online and live. Drew, everybody's been asking, so many things, and they have so many questions about what is Drunvalo doing? What is Drunvalo doing all this time? How is that happening with whatever is going on in the world? What are the news of today? And because we got a pre-peek before we started the live, and it was so many interesting information.
well, we are going through incredible changes right now, and the governments have decided not to tell you. They're just not going to. They literally made it illegal to talk about some of these things, and until recently, they've changed, and so we're just beginning now as a planet to begin to understand what is possible. It's just really a different world. We came from a world where the fastest thing in the universe was the speed of light. And so all communications, everything else that goes on is only with the speed of light. But now science knows that there is something a little faster. It's so much faster that there is no number you can come up with. The original mathematics were it was 20 billion times faster than the speed of light. And that's a little faster. Even if you came up with 900 billion times faster, it's way too slow. It actually, what science knows now is that something called the Birkeland currents, actually, the moment they are, oh great.
He's in demand.
These are the lives.
Yes.
I don't know how to turn it off, but I'll take the batteries out.
Like a boss.
No, nobody can find you, Drew.
Except here.
Okay. The Birkeland currents, the moment they are released, they not only go from point A to point B, so they can go across the entire universe that we know, which is 13.8 billion light years across. They can go across that instantaneously.
That's without a battery.
What's going on?
Somebody is trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They're like, don't talk about the Birkeland currents, but he's going to talk about it. While he's doing that.
I think it was the part that said the governments don't want you to know, and then all the phones are ringing at the same time.
With the batteries out.
It's a business here, so and they're not working here today, but we didn't think of that. Well, everything else, but we didn't think of that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm back. The Birkeland currents not only go from point A to point B in 0 time, so they can cross the entire 13.8 billion years instantly, but they go spherically up into the bigger worlds, the bigger and bigger and bigger worlds with thinking of the golden mean, and they go down into the quantum worlds that are as little as beyond anything we could even imagine right now. They go everywhere, all at once. And this has been around forever. And so a lot of life in this place, when we're looking out for radio signals coming from other planets, traveling at 186,200 miles a second, that's like crawling. And who's going to use it for what purpose? Unless it's close by. But the Birkeland currents connect everybody in the universe together right now, instantaneously. And this is what we are about to realize as a human race. We're going to learn how to do this and how to be connected. And when you are connected, things are possible that are not possible before that. Actually, we can do almost anything as long as there's a consensus in the universe, and there is if we're all connected. And so this is another whole thing. It's not going to come out for probably at least another year in this, but it's here. It's here now, and it's really important to understand that we are about to change. And the Birkeland currents are not technology. They are natural. They are an absolute natural way of creating things. And so, but we have on another level, that's a really positive thing for me. You want to know what I've been doing the last 5. See, I did my last workshop in May, I think it was, of 2015. So it's been about 5 years. And I didn't know what I was going to do either. They said, just wait, we'll tell you when you go back on, but not now. And so I have been doing meditation like I have never done meditation except in the very, very beginning when I was just starting on all this, and I was like meditating all the time. And so I'm spending a long time in meditation, and it's the only way anybody can understand and actually make it real. They have to go in and do it. You can't read a book and say, okay, here's what you do. Well, that's not doing it. So you have to be able to actually do it. And this is what we're looking at right now. For those of you that are connecting in from the School of Remembering or any of these other schools that are connected to this, there's, just lost my train of thought. I'm getting old, you guys.
Oh no.
The body is. I'm not. I'm young.
Yeah, you're getting younger.
and I feel young too. But my body, I'll be 80 in January. So
wow.
It happens to me. I get a little slow sometimes. So I don't know where I was talking about.
You were saying about the schools and how they're connected, and I think you're going to, the knowledge of the heart and how that can prepare people or of truly realizing, oneness and the connection with divinity inside your heart, and then from there.
Well, this is yeah. I wasn't actually going in that direction, but that's a really good direction. I think that from the questions I'm getting, and I wasn't getting any questions from anybody until I signed my contract a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm just getting phone calls and everything coming in. Can you answer this question? Can you answer this one? And so it's there. There has been a shift. It's been huge. It's been fast. It's almost instantaneous, and the world is beginning to alter its course. I don't think it's going to really alter its course until something happens in the heavens and this red star appears. And when it does, that will instantaneously change everything. And then what we talked about in the second volume 2 of the Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, where the women will take over the power of the planet, because they're going to do it, because they're going to gain a power that men don't even understand. They don't really. Some men do, but not very many. Most of them really just don't understand what are called subtle energies. They just don't get it. And but this is there are certain things that are happening that we need to look at to understand how big they are. The first one, which has been, you don't hear a word about it hardly ever, maybe in a certain science channel or something, but the geomagnetic field of the earth is undergoing transformation, massive transformation. And it's in the process, they believe, of changing from the North Pole to the South Pole and reversing itself. This doesn't happen very often. I studied this for it back into time, 250 million years. And the number of times that the poles have shifted, the magnetic poles, have been dramatic. It happens all the time. But where they switch poles is very rare. And but it makes sense because this moment that we're in right now has never happened on Earth before. It is really different, and it's about to change everything. The magnetic field, when it does change, is going to be a rather dramatic experience for us. Probably, no human being has ever experienced this before. Our DNA is only 230,000 years old, and it's been a few 100 million years since the last time this took place. And so it's, or I don't know if it's been that long. It's been many millions of years. I don't know if it's been many hundreds of years or not. So this is, and this is why it's so important for us to be aware of our biomagnetic field. We have a magnetic field almost identical to the Earth, except it's much smaller. And it's and for those of you that know the Merkaba and what came out in there, it's what we call the omega sphere. It's way out at about roughly 60 feet out around you in diameter, and that field is the way to really connect in. If you want to know what Mother Earth is doing, it gives you direct connection to her. And even more, what we don't know is that every single human being on Earth has a biomagnetic field around them, and that biomagnetic field is laced into the geomagnetic field of the Earth. We are connected to the Earth, and through the Earth's magnetic field, every human being on Earth is connected together right now. And if you begin to do work in the meditation of that, which is what we were doing when we were doing Cosmic Grace, you can not only see it, you can sense it, you can feel it, and this is probably one of the best ways when we really begin to have this tremendous urge to be all connected together. This is a very good way to start the whole process. There's other ways. There are other ways that we're not, humans are very diverse in what is possible through us. It's even like in the Ascended Masters, there was a little over 8,000 of them that used the technique that we have in Awakening Illuminated Heart. Only 4,000 something of them actually did that, and that was the reason why that was chosen to present, because we know it works. The Ascended Master's life knows it works, and it works perfectly. There are many other ways. There's some that only one person has done and nobody else has done. There's hundreds of other ways, but they aren't as proven as much as the one that we presented in the Awakening Illuminated Heart. And so it's really important for us to know what's in the Awakening Illuminated Heart and to understand it and to begin to live it and breathe it, so that we're prepared when these changes come, because the changes, when they do come, are going to be really, really, really fast. The magnetic field will change in 24 hours or less. And all of a sudden, water will be turning in the opposite direction in your sinks, and the blood will be circulated in the opposite direction in your body, and everything will begin to alter into a new reality that's going to last for almost 13,000 years. And though I don't think we're going to be here that long, I think we're going to leave this place long before that.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. You talked about change. Before we came on live, Agathi noticed something different about herself. And I noticed it too when she pointed it out. She said, look at my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, they changed color.
My eyes today, when I look myself in the mirror, were a different color. So they're
usually
bluish.
green.
Usually my eyes are dark green. So I've been telling Kumara, I have the card underneath my pillow. I've been taking, the CBD oil, every day. Everything is changing around the world. I wonder, if all these energies are.
This is not Agathi.
Yeah, it's not me.
Let me explain it. This is not Agathi.
But it's so interesting, the manifestation, like actual manifestation of the changes that are happening today. That it's.
Yeah.
But Drunvalo, you are telling us about something very important, like if we don't change, we might not have even 10 years left.
I was about the oceans.
And the ocean and the
That's
water.
science.
How important is this for people to understand?
Well, it's been announced publicly. The oceans of the world. I guess I should maybe explain something first before we say this and why this happened. The carbon dioxide that we are creating, we know how much we're creating, and it takes 20 years for that to rise up to where the ozone is and starts eating the ozone. It takes a while, and we knew that the carbon dioxide was going up there, but then when we measured what was up there, only about 50% of it was up there. And so this was at the turn of the century. Now all these people were going, well, where is it? Where is the other half of the carbon dioxide that we've released? And it took them about 3 years to figure it out. And then they found out it was in the ocean. And at first they all said, oh, okay, now we know where it is. Everything's okay. Not exactly. The ocean levels of carbon dioxide are now, the ocean levels have never been recorded at these levels for 100 million years. And so we're now in a place where the oceans are very similar to the way they were 100 million years ago, which probably means that almost all the life in the ocean is going to die, except for things like the great white shark, which have been here for more than 100 million years. And they're used to it and they can make the adaptation. But this is a big deal. This is a really, really big deal. So now it's in the ocean, and it's changing the pH, it's changing everything, and it's forcing fish to breathe carbon dioxide. And nobody really knows at this point, but recently, and this was only a month ago, I think, that the geophysicists of the world said, well, we have something important to tell you. And that is, they believe, this may be not going to happen, but this is what they believe. They believe that the oceans are going to completely die. No fish, no nothing in them, just water, within 10 years. And I've just talked to one of these people who knows a lot about this, and they say it may be as quick as 5 years. They don't know. Sometime between now and 10 years, the ocean dies. We can't live once the ocean's dead. We will die very quickly behind that. And so we have definitely a limited amount of time to be able to do what we need to do. Now we're going to do it. I know that, and I'm cheating because I knew before he ever got here that we did do it, and we made it. We just squeaked through, just like yeah, and we got through, and we were able to do everything that we were supposed to do. Another thing that I talked about in the Flower of Life series a long time ago is that when we get to this point, because Mother Earth told me this a long time ago, that she will not let us go. We cannot go, leave this earth. We have messed this earth up so bad. So we messed it up, and now we're going to go somewhere else and mess somewhere else up? No, she's not going to let us do that. We're going to have to get to the place of consciousness where we, as a humanity, are able to create things on massive scales. And we will do this. But one of the things we have to do before we can leave, she won't let us, is we have to clean up this planet. Clean the oceans, fix them, fix the atmosphere, fix everything like it was a long time ago until it's healthy again. And then we earn the right to be able to ascend to higher consciousness. Because without doing that act, we can't. They just won't let us. And And so there are big changes between if the magnetic pole goes to zero at that time, then we were probably also going to have a physical pole shift. It has always happened. Every time there's been